Hellraiser, Hellworld. While not the most recognized film in the Hellraiser franchise series, clocking in at number 8, definitely a very different type of movie, I would say. Definitely something that was not originally planned to be a Hellraiser movie. Something that actually has an all-star cast, and which I think there's kind of a hidden gem of all-star cast that this movie has on it. And just probably a forgettable Hellraiser in the franchise, since the whole Pinhead and Hellraiser Cenobites barely played any kind of role in this movie at all. But that's what we're talking about here today, all about Hellraiser Hellworld. Hello everybody, this is Jmaes Kline from the Retro Blood, and this is another Retro Blood Shorts talking all about Hellraiser Hellworld. Now, how did we get this Hellraiser Hellworld? Well, we actually got it. It's the same director, alright? Rick Bota. He first did Hellraiser Hellseeker, then he did Hellraiser Deader, and then he did Hellraiser Hellworld. And the reason he had to do Hellraiser Hellworld is because at the time, the production company had a contract that says, hey, you got to finish up this Hellraiser. All right, we didn't pay for nothing, brother. You got to finish up this Hellraiser movie, and you got to make it go basically straight to DVD and finish this up. And that's why they came up with the Hellraiser Hellworld idea. And that all came from a short story, one by Joel Sosino, Dark Can't Breathe. It was an original concept plan. If you guys know Joel Sosino, he actually has done quite a bit of production in films, as in Dracula 2000, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
We got special work to do here, you and me.
He's done Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So he's done some stuff. So this movie was originally supposed to be a concept movie out of that short story, and it wasn't originally supposed to be a Hellraiser movie. But since they had this contract, it was originally titled Hellraiser Dead World. Alright, so not Hellworld, brother, it's the Dead World. Alright, and that's basically how we got the concept to this straight to DVD film. So before I get into some of the actual review of the movie itself, a couple big notes over here is the cast. And I think the cast is probably the most interesting part about this whole film, because of this all-star cast that came out of it. And none of them are known for this movie exactly, but this was a movie that it's pretty crazy to see all these actors and actresses all formed into one. So the biggest actor at this time that they got was actually Lance Henriksen, which obviously we've seen from Alien, and of course, Pumpkinhead, brother.
This is not happening. See.
And what's cool about this is the original idea on the original Hellraiser was Lance Henriksen was originally supposed to play Frank Cotton in the first film, but Henriksen turned that down to be a vampire in the thriller Near Dark, brother. So he's like, nope, it ain't working for me. Gotta do this vampire movie instead. But everything works itself out, and he eventually landed himself in a Hellraiser movie while doing, I guess he was some sort of game show host guy who was creepy. 3 cast of characters that I recognized while seeing this film. We have Catherine Winnichuk has Chelsea, which I recognized her from the show Vikings, has Lagatha. And I was like, it's crazy to see a young Lagatha on the screen. I always thought that was pretty cool, and I thought she did a pretty fantastic job in this particular movie. Another one that I recognized was Carrie Payton, which we would all know from The Walking Dead, because he all played Ezekiel on there.
It pleases him indeed, Jerry.
And it was kind of cool seeing him not in the dreads for once, and seeing what he was all about in this film. And of course, we cannot forget about the main man himself being in this film. Of all people, we have young Superman himself, young Geralt from Rivia himself on here. One Henry Cavill, playing the most devious character, Mike.
Today isn't your day, is it?
In this particular film. So it's definitely a very interesting cast that we have here. Not all known for this series, not all big at the time, except for Lance Hickerson. He was obviously a pretty well-established star at this time, but they're all pretty much working. They all have, during this time, all three of them that I mentioned, they've done music before and they were getting a amount of success, but wouldn't be until projects later on where they actually get a lot more success, especially for Henry Cavill being the one of the most sought-after actors there is in the game nowadays. Peyton was hired for this movie by chance because he just was done filming the movie Dracula 2 Ascension for Peyton, and then our boy Lance Hickerson, he was also hired by chance because he was also in Romania, so happened to be at the time filming Mimic 3 Sentinel. So they just happened to be around, and they're just like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just grab some extra cash here? I can stay another week or two, maybe 3 weeks, maybe, to this film in Romania, and I'll get that straight to DVD money, brother. So you could tell that this movie, we just had to add in the Cenobites, like they just had to be there. So the whole story was actually surrounded by the Hellraiser universe. And the storyline was basically all the kids, and they are all at a funeral home. So Adam took the game to heart, and he died from taking a video game to the limits, brother. Because, this is like 2005, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is when video games, they can kill you, brother. All right? Yeah, not nowadays where they're virtual reality and AI and shit. No. This is back in 2005. All those games are crazy. They'll definitely kill you. So this is like an online computer game where you can take your lust and everything to the limits. Kind of like when you open up the actual box itself. It's supposed to be, the premise of the box is supposed to be what your darkest fantasies will come true. And obviously, pain equals pleasure. Just like our boy Pinhead said. And that's how you want to seek the box to get the most pleasure out of getting that pain. And the whole movie pretty much resides where the game is coming back. They all decide to play the Hellworld game again. They get up to this big party house. And the house is all about, let's dress up in costumes and have a bunch of sex, brother. That's what it's all about in this house over here. We have Lance Hickerson. He is basically the house host of this particular film. And he is showing all the kids around, giving them all a bunch of masks, showing them all these random objects that were in the Hellraiser universe. I guess we see a couple boxes there. We see all this stuff. So in this film, I guess they were trying to portray how the Wes Craven's New Nightmare was, where Hellraiser is like a movie, but the movie comes to life in this film. So the new portal to hell is actually at this house that they're all partying in right now. And while you touch part of these gimmicks, you have now surrendered yourself to be part of this hell world. Got that, everybody? Gotcha. So we see a lot of stuff happen in this film. A lot of like 2005 sex scenes going on here. We got Henry Cavill supposedly getting his dick sucked in one scene over here. We got Chelsea, she's running around trying to figure out what everybody's doing because she wasn't too happy over here. We got one Jake coming in. The group is not for Jake too much. He was mourning the death of Adam. And he was the one that kind of isolated himself from the rest of the group. And he showed up in the Hellworld house. And he is the one who actually logged in the first time, apparently, to the Hellworld game. And he is the one that is the culprit for starting all this in the first place. And his actions for doing that are going to be coming up here pretty soon. But I'll get there. Listen, So she actually gets killed like the games, pretty much like the movie Saw, where we have the big Saw-like weapon destroying her face. And I was just thinking, this is 2005, and we did have the first Saw movie come out. I believe it was 2004. Yes, they're actually ripping off from that franchise with that particular movie, but hey, why not just straight to DVD? And of course, every time you would see somebody dying at this time, we would have Pinhead stop by and be like, Adam was right. He kind of reminded me of that woohoo guy from the fucking Mortal Kombat, just showing up out of nowhere. So we're seeing everybody they're kind of take their different directions at the party. Derek and Mike, they find themselves trapped in some separate parts of the house. And Derek, his death scene was he was dancing too much and he dropped his what do you call it, inhaler down the pipe, searching through a room, and eventually gets his head chopped right off, brother. All right, after searching for that little inhaler. Pretty creative death. I thought it was okay. Mike, he basically after he was getting it on with some party girl, all right, and Chelsea, she was stuck in a room, freaking out about everything that's happening right now. Mike gets himself trapped downstairs and eventually gets elevated and destroyed. This is actually when we see a couple more Cenobites make their very random appearance. So we actually have Chatter and Bound. Bound is a new Cenobite for this movie. And he's basically like this. He kind of looks like the butter one, but he has like he's like a little skinnier, but he has like a little black part around his eye. So now the big premise of this is after some of their friends were dying, Jake and Chelsea, they actually became invisible to a lot of the party guests there. And we did have one scene where Chelsea was trying to call the cops to have them come there. The cops come there. Lance, the host, Lance Hickerson, was basically telling them to go away because he's just having some friends over for the night, just relaxing, and there's nothing to see here. And of course, they couldn't see her at all because she is now invisible over there. And then Jake realizes that himself, he is also too become invisible. And then the big reveal of this was that Chelsea eventually finds belongings of Adam's, and then she realizes that the host, Lance Hickerson's character, was actually Adam's father this whole time, and he blamed and break his addiction to playing video games. All right, bad video games that you can get really into. After this, Chelsea and Jake, they try to flee out of the house, but they only discovered they had been buried alive and are now receiving messages from the host Viva cell phones in their respective caskets. So the host informs them that he actually poisoned them, that he exposed to them right when they arrived. So it's all been in their dreams this whole time, this whole Hellworld interaction. They've been locked up in these coffins the whole time. And that's why they've been experiencing having results of hypnosis and suggestion on their own guilty consciences. So before leaving, he lets Chelsea know that Allison, Derek, and Mike have all perished in their respective caskets, and that only she and Jake remain alive. As Chelsea begins to slip into another hallucination, she is abruptly pulled above ground by police and paramedics and reunites with Jake as she is being taken into an ambulance. The police and paramedics say they were tipped off by a phone call from Chelsea's telephone. Chelsea does not know who could have called them, but she looks towards the house and she sees Adam staring in the window. So our boy Adam has come back as a ghost and has helped him, brother, from this hell world. So after Chelsea and Jake get away, the host actually sits and he goes through some more of Adam's possessions, and he actually finds the box, brother, the box, the configuration, all right, and he summons the real Cenobites. And then Pinhead, now when he comes over here, he's actually praising Adam and he's mocking the host's disbelief of them. And then during the sense he opened the box and everything, the Chatter and the Bound Cenobites tear our boy the host apart, and he is gone. And then we see Jake and Chelsea are shown driving into the sunrise when they receive a mystery phone call from the host, who suddenly appears in the back seat. The two almost crash crash the car but are able to stop, and the host disappears. The last scene shows the police entering the bedroom in which the host opened the box. The walls blood spattered and the box lying on the floor, brother. So this movie was pretty interesting, where you could definitely tell that this is like 2005. So it has its good parts where, you know, we're having a bunch of kids out there, and, you know, they're partying at the house, and we're seeing a couple of good jump scares. We're copying a lot of death scenes like we would in Saw. It's just the thing about the Hellraiser series that a lot of fans like, including myself, is the better dialogue from the actual Cenobites, mainly Pinhead himself, where he explains, or he's like in a way haunting and haunting everybody at whoever's opened the box. You know, it's kind of like a game to them in a way. You know, you open the box and we have wonders to show you out here in this painful lair. It just kind of weird, because you're telling me the whole premise is basically the Adam's father. He drugged all these kids, locked them up in a casket, and all these kids just so happened to hallucinate the same dream together, but it was their only dark fantasies. And I was just thinking, well, what the fuck was Derek's fantasy? His fantasy was dancing around a bunch of people and dropping his inhaler and getting his head chopped off, because that's the only thing basically happened to him. All right. Then we could even go to the character Allison, where she died basically right when she got there. She just went into a random room and just fucking got sawed to death, like the Saw killing machine, without her darkest fantasy. And then the only one I could see that maybe had like a dark fantasy was our boy Mike, Henry Cavill, because he was at least getting his dick sucked. But that's about it, really. So I think, you know, you could definitely tell that this movie probably would have been a little better if it didn't actually have the Hellraiser moniker on it, because I think it kind of fell short of actually being like a Hellraiser film, where you have one person or maybe one or two people kind of like being a little curious about the actual box itself. The cast on this is fantastic. Obviously, they're all great actors. All the acting was great on it, I thought. You know, the lines were delivered well. It just, the actual premise of the whole movie was kind of a little bit lost on me. But we are, at this time, 8 movies deep into the Hellraiser series. So we're just pumping out some just to get some money at this particular time. And this would be like the only movie in the actual Hellraiser series to basically do the Cenobites are they don't think they're like on their own fact online, okay? And we have a game about them, but a lot of people just don't think they're real, but they're kind of like in like a video game format or like a game format, you know. And then they come to life for real after the host actually opens up the box, compared to the whole movie. So, you know, little rough on a lot of parts of this particular film. But like I said, I don't think it hit as strong as it would. But it's just very interesting to see every member of this cast and what they would do later on in films. And I don't know about you guys, but, you know, if I go to one of those cons, I'm definitely asking our boy Henry Cavill, what was it like to play Mike? Tell me every little detail. So, but everybody, this has been the Retro Blood Shorts. If you like what you heard, click on any of the links that we have in the description page and join us for full episodes. If you like the sound of my voice, join me for full episodes on the Retro Blood every Sunday as we talk all about 80s horror movies. And I will see you guys here next time.